This is the Empower Podcast. Released September 29th, 2019. Episode 460. Rubber ducking.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Flat out like a lizard drinking.
That's right, yeah. Lizard drinking, huh? Never heard that one.
Oh, you haven't heard flat out like a lizard drinking? No, it's an Aussie term. There you go, You've heard it now.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, we're both flat out as usual.
A little busy, yeah, a little busy. But it's good, man. Like, I have a consulting forum where I talk to people about this, and it's better to be busy than not busy, of course.
Right, of course.
You know, well, with the caveat that, like, some people are kind of like further along in their careers, and they're like, yeah, I actually bill for jobs now instead of hourly, so it's not as like tied to hours. But like when you're billing hourly, like I do, it's busyness is kind of means making money.
Bill every spare minute. If you're at the gym, it's going, oh, geez, no, I'm losing money.
I mean, August, it was tough for me to like go places in August or like take vacation. It's a little, it stresses you out a little bit, but I've been trying to think of everything as an investment, right? So like when I'm doing my code learning stuff that I'm working on, that's an investment in the future. When I'm on vacation, it's an investment in mental health. When
health,
go to the gym, it's an investment in regular health. When I walk and like honestly, there's what was I reading? Oh, I just finished Art in the
Of course, he's finished another book, folks. It only bingo. It only took like a minute, 2 minutes, and he's already mentioned another book. Yep.
Yeah, well, I just finished Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and.
Of course,
have you ever read that one?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I've read it all the time. Yeah, read it 10 times. Yeah,
and so he just talks about the importance of getting out and like walking and stretching your brain out without actually thinking about things, and that's like an investment too. So like going for a walk with the dog is obviously time spent with out in the air and getting fresh air, but also times to crunch on things instead of think about work.
Right. So trying to justify being a lazy ass. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's fine.
What did you think of that book? I didn't know you've read it. That's
magnificent. Life altering, Yeah.
It was much more heady than I thought it would be, but
right.
Yeah. It was good. Yep. It was good.
His finest work to date.
That's right.
Oh, goodness. Anyway. All right.
Well,
so what's happening?
What's happened? Working on some boards. I got my I'm doing embedded programming. That's new. Not new, but I've been working on like actually using GDB. Have you ever done that?
GDB? What's GDB?
So it's like the command line debugger for just like Linux in general, like GNU debugger, I think is the GDB.
I don't use Linux, so.
Okay, well, it's also used as like the backend for a lot of like GCC code, right? So if you're like using an IDE, and I'm learning all this stuff too, so take it easy on me if I'm getting this wrong, audience. But like if you're using like a Eclipse, right? Oftentimes what it's doing is basically it's like a generic front end. You have your code window, and then you have your variables, then you have like your stepping through code and all this other stuff. Not oftentimes, but sometimes the Eclipse window is actually built and it's just sending commands to this back end, which is like GDB. Right. And it's basically saying, hey, I want to do a breakpoint at main. And so you do like breakpoint main.c breakpoint main in main.c, right? So that would be like the main function in the main.c file.
Got it.
And then when you get there, it does a breakpoint like everybody's used to. But it's actually on the back end, you can just go and manipulate that directly using something called GDB. And I finally figured out like a lot of the, I always get really confused whenever I was doing debugging of things. But I've had some great tutors so far, and that's been very helpful. And I've kind of got a better feel for like what it is and how things hook together. And like a GDB server runs on the device that you're debugging normally or debugging with. Yep. So like a J-Link would have a GDB server, and then GDB on your computer would actually hook into that. So it's like a server client kind of model.
Got it. And that's allowed you to debug what?
So debug some programs that I'm writing, just like simple blinky stuff, timers, interrupts.
See, why do you have to debug blinky, timey, simple stuff? Why do you have to use a debugger?
Because it wasn't working, Dave.
Because it wasn't working. Why wasn't it working? Like, what was give us the end result? Why?
Yeah, so the one of the problems that I chased down was just that I, so a lot of, and like, especially coming from like the Arduino world and stuff like that, right? A lot of people come in. I was doing that for a long time as well. And so like when I was setting up a timer, right? So a lot of like what you look at so I'm using STM32, right? So that's the F030 family. And when you're using a timer, what you're really doing is you're kind of like setting all the variables. It's really just like setting switches in the registers that are there, right? So if like, I want this to have a prescaler of, so it's like a 48 megahertz clock. I say the prescaler is 48,000, and then I get like a 1 millisecond increment basically, and then I say, hey, count to 1,000.
Timer hardware actually does the rest.
It mostly, but if you don't have everything set properly,
of course, it's got to be set.
Yeah, well, that's what it was wrong. So it turned out I, like the thrashing stage of even, like I don't know if you ever thrash like I do. Not like I'm like into metal or anything, but like I thrash like I like try a bunch of things. It's not very scientific. Speaking of art of motorcycle maintenance, right? He talks about the scientific method. I was not following that. And so I tried a couple things, and it didn't really have any effect because it was still quote unquote broken, right? And so I tried these things, and like it had the same output. But the thing was, I actually was changing something that did have an impact, but because nothing was working, I then later paid the price for it. So so basically what happened was I set like a repeat timer or a repeater or something like that. So basically I said, hey, count to 1,000 with these millisecond increments. So I thought it was going to be a 1 second timer, but it turned out, no, actually I set it to repeat 1,000 times. So it was only going to throw an interrupt every 1,000 seconds. And I couldn't figure out why. And then, so I set a breakpoint inside the interrupt function. And then I saw, hey, once in a while it does actually trigger. And so I figured out that something was wrong there. Then I just kind of like went back through and read the data sheet again or the user manual, and then it worked.
See, I don't bother, like, unless I'm absolutely desperate, then I'll get out the debugger. But before that, I'll just use a printf, to serial, or I'll use a LED. I'll actually flash a LED on the product or whatever.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, okay. Obviously, if it flashed that LED, it got into that interrupt routine because I just add a line of code.
That's right. Yeah.
Here, flash LED.
Right. But the output of my program was to flash a LED in the interrupt routine, so it didn't go so well. Yeah. So so like a lot of this stuff makes sense, but like it's been nice to kind of just go through it again and spend some time. Like I'm going slow, man. I'm going real slow. But it's nice. It's nice to
cool bananas.
Get a better feel. And the other nice thing about it is that in the meantime, I actually listened to Jay Carlson, who wrote the amazing $1 microcontroller. He was back on Embedded last week, and
bingo, book number 2.
That's not no. That's a podcast, Dave.
Oh, podcast. Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You said wrote.
Oh, so he wrote a blog post. Yeah, you've read that blog post. We went over it on the show, right? So remember, it was like comparing like a bunch of low-cost micros. So
yes, right.
Yeah,
of course.
So that's a great blog post, and if people haven't seen that, I'll link
fantastic.
That too. But he was back on the show talking about education and embedded education, and so like it just between him and Tom on the show last week, and then reading the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, I had like a religious experience about like education, and I'm just like I freaked out last week about stuff. It was great, like in the best way.
You hippie.
I know, right? And but in the show, he's talking about Atolic, which is like I didn't realize was an IDE company. I never heard of them, but they got bought by ST, and so I tried that out. And it's basically just a Eclipse-based IDE, but now that I've been digging under the hood with the other stuff I've been doing, it was like a lot easier. Not easier, but it was like a lot clearer. And like I'm not as scared of the menus now because they're, right. You've gone through Eclipse before, right? It's just menu after menu after menu. And And so I just had a little context on what's going on there, and that really helped a lot. So,
excellent.
Yeah, taking my time and digging through some of the scarier stuff, quote unquote. But it's been really helpful for getting a grasp on what I should be doing.
Have you ever been so up to your eyeballs, tits up in the code and in the compiler and debugging that you couldn't see the forest for the trees?
Oh, I don't think I've gotten to that point yet, so I'm sure I will.
Okay.
But you have a story about this, I'm sure, right?
I got a classic example. It's not me. It's David, the other David.
Yep.
And it was quite public. It was on my second EEV Log 2 channel, and he often does. He posts these infrequent updates when he's working on something on the micro supply, of course. So it's an STM32 based platform with the GCC compiler and all the rest. And previously he's done a. He's found a bug in the GCC compiler, right? And he's had that confirmed with the GCC people, and he had to wait. Our project was delayed by a couple of weeks until the GCC people could fix it, could actually fix his bug, right? So, that's how good he is. He finds bugs in compilers, right? Yeah. And so he messaged me the other day, I've been working on this problem, and I think I've found another bug in the GCC compiler. And it looks like it's really basic. And he was, he tried to explain it to me, because I know Jack all about, GCC compilers and, like the inner workings
sure, like how it's creating assembly and then, Yep.
Yeah, because he's always doing like obscure C++ stuff, right? He's always pushing the boundaries of the compiler, right? My code's just dumbass, right? So that's why it always works, right?
Same.
I'll never find a bug in a C compiler, right?
Right.
I don't think I have. Anyway, might have. Actually, but anyway, yeah.
Not lately. How about that? How about not that?
Yeah, not lately. His code is more likely to find it than mine. Let's put it that way. And so he tried to explain to me, and it sounded really basic. And I went, dude, are you sure? It can't be this basic. This is GCC. It's used by millions, right?
Yeah.
And it's it can't be this basic. But he assured me, yes, it is. And I went, okay, you were right last time, and do it. So I told him to do a video about it. So he did this video, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. It was, he was jumping into routines, and it was using voids, and it was using statics and all sorts of, stuff like that. Anyway, and as soon as he released the video, then all the comments started popping up. No, dude, you're doing it wrong. You're doing a fundamental error.
Oh man,
you cannot if you're in an interrupt routine, you must use statics, I think it is. Is it? Oh God,
volatile?
I can't remember. No, volatile. You must use volatiles inside interrupt routines. Sorry, inside interrupt routines, you must use volatiles, and that's what he wasn't doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I remember back to my rusty past, even I knew that. It's like, I've been caught with that before, way back.
That's the tough thing. I think it's nice to have that feedback, but it's tough to hear it over and over. It's like, okay, I get it. Yeah.
I get it. So he had to go. Oh God. So he had to do this massive facepalm, and shit happens. It was so deep in debugging this compiler that he and doing all this weird stuff to try and work out what's going on. And he spent ages on this, and then it was something as simple as he wasn't using a volatile type inside an interrupt routine.
I feel like for me that's I know I've been pumping the idea of tutoring lately, but literally it could be any when I figured out that the problem that I was having was actually just explaining it to my friend. He was watching over my shoulder, and that that's called rubber ducking, right? I'm sure
rubber ducking?
We've never talked about that on the show before?
No, I've never heard of rubber ducking.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've
Sounds like a bizarre sexual position.
No, the idea is that basically you just need someone to talk to and talk through your problem with, and the term comes from you could just as easily be explaining it to a rubber duck. I think that's how it goes. And the idea being that walking through it and explaining it, sometimes you just go, Oh, wait a second.
Oh, and the penny drops.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So
you could be talking to someone who knows nothing about it.
Exactly.
You could be talking to your mum or something.
Exactly.
You just need someone to cry.
Yeah. You just need to be talking it out loud and just triggering different parts of your brain. Because if you're stuck inside your head, you're you know, you just keep doing the same things. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, like, between like rubber ducking, that helps a lot. But then, you know, I think other things that help are like keeping notebooks and then like being able to go back over your notebooks and stuff like that too.
Well, yeah. Oh, your segue in, but I have to mention this. Yeah, David was so upset by this. He's gone and written a whole flowcharty process thing about how he's never going to make this mistake again. And he wants to
next time it'll be different.
Live, you know, it's going to be something else.
I mean, this is classic.
Anyway, so he went and solved to ensure that never happens again. And he's going to do a live. He wants to do a live show where he explains this to people and stuff. So,
F it, we'll do it live. That's great.
Yeah, I want it. Why do you want to do it live? You sure you want to do it live? Oh yeah, I have to do it live. Oh God.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. Let the kid learn.
Yep.
Teach your children well.
Well, let them lead the way. Show them all the... No, okay.
Right.
Anyway,
and you're calling me a hippie. Come on,
segue.
Man. You're calling me a hippie.
Yeah, right. You were obviously going to segue.
Of course I was. Of course I was. Dave, after 9 years, we know how to do this. Come on.
Yep.
Anyways, I was thinking we were talking about the notebook we'll talk about here in a second, but I have been trying to keep better notebooks, and I've been doing sequential as well. And I know Alicia from Embedded talks about this, and I think we probably talked about it on the show, but...
Sequential is in a daily...
Yeah,
thing?
Like I keep a daily, but now I keep a daily logbook on the project too, and that's been helpful.
Oh, okay.
I used to do it.
Every new project, you start a new project.
Yeah, but it's all digital. Right. So for me, it's Evernote, but it doesn't have
the newfangled digital.
I mean, it's nice. I think it. Well, as we'll look at here, I think it's tough to read this person's handwriting, but but like the digital stuff too, it's searchable, and you know, it's just
right.
Especially because the reason I'm really doing it, not really doing it, but another benefit of it too is that, like, you know, I have these short notes that when I when I charge hours, you know, so I charge hours. I say, hey, like, I did a board design here today, and you know, here's the Git revision or the number of the Git commit and stuff like that. If I do that, but sometimes just having more color to it's nice too, and that's what the notebooks act as. So that helps a lot.
So what software do you use?
I use Evernote for mine. I mean, just for
Evernote.
simple,
right.
And I finally found a Linux client. Oh, thank goodness! There's a Linux client that actually has like a localized database. So like I was on a plane. And previously I'd been using the web thing, and it didn't work. And it's like the one time that I actually need it on a plane. So.
Yep.
But you know, OneNote works, and you know, Google Keep, and there's a ton of them out there. So yeah, whatever works. But we were going to talk about this. This just popped up on Twitter earlier today. Jason, I forget his last name, who runs archive.org, had posted about it, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So it's in archive.org. And it's Joe...
Decure?
Yeah, Decure. That sounds right. Decur, who's one of the engineers at Atari. So he worked on the Atari 400 and 800. And they scanned in these notebooks and from 1978. And it's super cool to kind of like get a peek back into process. Yeah. And you were saying you knew one of the companies that was like listed in there.
Yes, I did. I was just scanning through before the show, and if you flick through to page 4, it's got that they're having a meeting with the Grass Valley. Well, it just says meeting with Grass Valley. And to me, Grass Valley is the Grass Valley Group, which is a famous engineering company in Grass Valley. I can't remember which state it is in the US.
It's in the US, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was dealing with them in the 90s at my first job, they were like one of the world leaders in video switching, the security market, because the company I work for was in the security market, the video switching, surveillance type market.
Yep.
They and Grass Valley Group made these. They make these big industrial, everything's a rack mount thing, and it's got these giant boards, and it's got hundreds of chips on each board, and really over engineered kind of stuff. And
and that might have been past
price to match
this time. This might have
it might have been.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they were working on back then. Anyway, the Grass Valley Group, yes. So there you go. They had an interview with them, and but that's just not a discussion between frequency multiplexing, digital analog. Okay, so they were talking with the Grass Valley group because they were use smart cassette. They're talking about the audio cassette interface and stuff like that.
And this is for the computers too, right? So I think Atari, and I think of the video game. That's like the This is for the actual 8-bit computer system, and so running on 6502s. And we've had Chuck Pell on the show before, and
of course,
people should go listen to that episode because Chuck's amazing. He's the designer of the
of the 65. It's absolutely fantastic episode. Yep.
Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah. We should catch up with him. I don't know what he's doing these days. He's still doing engineering stuff. Last we talked to him.
He's in his 80s.
He was in his 80s
still
when he was
sharp as a tack.
Yeah, he really was.
And he was just, oh wow, he was still like doing stuff. Like his work schedule was like bigger than bigger than yours.
Yeah, right. He was doing a lot of stuff. He's not slowing down.
Amazing.
So.
No, he's still consulting for all these companies, and
yeah.
There you go.
So
okay, they merged with Tektronix in 1974.
Who did? Atari did?
The Grass Valley Group.
Oh.
Grass Valley Group. Oh, okay. I didn't know they were a division of... Now I do recall, a division of Tektronix.
Huh. They're not still around, are they? They're not like a brand, are they?
Video and network divisions, they're still around.
Huh.
By the looks of it.
Crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, I was right. Yeah, no, video editing, video capture, all that sort of jazz. That's what they were working on.
Cool.
Yep, same sort of stuff. So anyway, they were just like, one of the go-to engineering groups as well. Like they would help you design your own stuff as well.
Yeah.
They were just like a bunch of smart people, and yeah. So anyway, this is great, and you flick through it. Like some of it makes absolutely no sense. You really need the author to be here.
Right. This is to jog his memory, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And but then you go into like say page.
I can't read any of this handwriting, by the way. This is like
no. Okay.
This is pretty tough for me.
I can really.
I mean, go to like page. I'm on page
read it.
Like 40 or 37, and like I don't know, just this kind of handwriting is
really
used for anything other. I guess maybe if I like really squint at it.
I haven't written much in this notebook for a while. Instead, working on vellums. Vellums, which is film, which is vellum film.
Oh, so like doing circuit board layout or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. Changes to document, proposed changes. You can't read this. I can mostly read this.
I can read. Yeah, it's just like all of the letters aren't closed at the bottom.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, you used to do. So I never really did engineering notebooks. I mean, we've talked about it on the show before, I think.
Yeah,
but,
I've done. I used to keep them personally when I was working on my own projects, and I've shown them in one of my videos. Maybe we can link that in.
Yeah.
I'm going to show another one soon because I want to do a video. Where that could be handy, but look, he's working on fuse maps for PLD devices like a 10V20 or something like a GAL and a PAL. So he's doing like fuse maps for these by the looks of it. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I just love it.
It's cool to see,
Yeah.
but yeah, it is a little. I don't know, like. And I know the way they're kept. Like a lot of times, it's for patents and stuff. Like that was always the thing that we learned in school.
Oh yeah, that
too.
was always the thing for our company. It's like you must sign and date each page because it's
which has changed since the first to file versus first to discovery, which was a couple years. At least in the States, that changed a couple years ago. But I think they still want the documentation and stuff like that. So I'm not sure.
Right.
I'd love to hear from people that are listening. Like I don't know what the the modern day version of this is, like if there are online versions, or if you have to still take paper notes.
Yeah, please. If you're working at a big engineering organization, are you still using the printed?
Like the ones that are most motivated
notebooks?
by like the patenting process, I'm sure have something in place, but I don't know what that would. I can imagine like a GitHub or like a code repository at least is easy to timestamp and check all that stuff. But But yeah, it's tough with like more visual things. Like I wouldn't want to have to like take pictures or something like that. But yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that was the thing. Like back in the day, like digital cameras weren't a thing.
Right,
like
right,
taking
right.
pictures was it like, very occasionally you might have a Polaroid camera.
Right.
You take a photo and you'd literally sticky tape it into your book.
Exactly. It's like, I'm going to take a photo of the book. I'm just going to put it back in the book. Recursion.
And anyway, it's just great to look at these.
Yeah.
Old stuff. So, yes, somebody handed these in. And of course, we were talking about this before the show, is that the books that engineering books we've done at a company, they're still there. Like, it's part of the handover process when you leave the company. It's like hand over your credit card, hand over your keys, hand over your swipe card, hand over your notebook. That's kind of,
Yeah, it's part of the IP process and everything else. But those are, most of the time, they're slowly rotting. They're turning into mushrooms,
Have you ever had to go back to like somebody's notebook?
I mean, of course.
Really?
I was doing at Keithley. I was doing release product stuff. So I was trying to transcribe notes from people who had designed the things 20 years earlier.
Right.
And many times they weren't there.
Yeah. Right.
The most valuable.
What? They were just lost from the archive, or what?
No, the books were there. The people weren't. The people had moved on to other companies,
Got it. Yeah.
And so you go and look at a book about, someone's, and like that's the other thing. Like I guess this is kind of like the difference between like saying like, oh, well, I document things in my comments and code versus like actually writing documentation. Like even like at least the code's there. That helps a little bit. But like, having documentation about how it's supposed to work and having that final piece of like, here is the best case scenario instead of here's all the fiddly bits that I thought might have been the right path towards the end product. It's not as useful. The end product is what you're trying to fix. You're trying to maintain over time. You don't care about how they got there. You just care about the thing at the end, unless there's something very critical that that's how they got there. There's like some formula that was never published about how they found that resistor value.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. I've had to do it. Have you ever had to do it?
I don't recall. That's why I asked, because I off the top of my head, I can't recall an incident where I've had to go back to someone's notebook. Maybe it happened and it just wasn't noteworthy to put into my brain. But yep.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's a tough thing to do, and like this was the only option 20 years ago, right? I mean, that was just like, you're going to keep paper, not even 20, more years ago, but like it was just a practical, cost-effective option to do this kind of thing, so it makes sense.
Right.
But yeah, it's not easily searchable or any of the things that I said about Evernote earlier. Yeah.
If you go to page 96, it's called the Gallup Study of Personal Computers, where they're actually evaluating the different computers on the market and stuff like that.
Gallup, like the polling?
I don't know. Maybe they did get Gallup to do I don't know. It just says Gallup Study, principal findings from the Gallup Study. This is January 1978.
Yeah.
So it's like they've got a list of all these different machines and numbers in there, which I don't know what they're referring to. Are they referring to like instructions per second or something, degree of confidence? So they've got IBM, Xerox, TI, Sony, RCA, Radio Shack, HP, Sears, because Sears actually had a computer, Lafayette, Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley.
Those are toys.
They're comparing toys.
Yeah.
So they're comparing some of the, those shoot 'em video games, those ones that you point at your TV with the gun, the photo sensor gun.
Oh, yeah.
Mattel, Hitachi, Heath, Atari, Commander, and Apple was not included.
I was going to say,
that's what it says.
The other
Apple
one,
not included.
You're gonna hate me for this, but I've started reading another book, Dave.
Oh God!
But I've been reading Eccentric Orbits, the Iridium stories.
No.
The satellite network that went up.
Oh, right. Yeah,
it's a really good book so far. Right. It's like all like it's written like a drama. Like it opens with like, we're gonna shut down the system and burn up the satellites. So it's very well written so far. But they get into a bunch of the Motorola history, which is based here in Chicago. Well, Schaumburg, which is outside of Chicago. And like I didn't really have, I knew Motorola was big. I did not realize the dominance that they were.
Oh yeah.
Also, the name. Do you know what the name comes from?
No.
The Motorola comes from it's a portmanteau of motor and Victrola, which is like the old record player.
Yep.
So it's they used to install radios into cars, and those were the Motorola. Okay. They were named after the founder initially, but then it just like people just kept referring to them as Motorola, and they're like,
oh,
yeah, why
okay,
not?
Yeah,
okay, great.
Yeah, we'll change our name. Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely enormous. Yeah. They're into everything.
Well, they were. I mean, they're
yeah, of course.
I am currently in a building that is the shell of their former selves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So this
Who owns Motorola now? Somebody.
So like the Motorola company is still around, but a lot of the things that people think about, right? So like, so Motorola, the assets, a lot of it became like NXP. Wait, was it NXP?
Oh yeah, there were lots of spin-offs.
So Freescale was some of the Silicon spin-off, I believe. And then,
don't try and follow the.
Yeah, then that got sold to Freescale, which is now an NXP.
The family tree, you'll go insane.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll go insane.
So like, but I think it all got broken up a lot too. Like so, like and like the phones got sold to Google, and then Google sold it to Lenovo, and so that's kind of a dead brand too. So, because like the Razr in the early Razr days.
Oh yeah, the Motorola flip phone was the duck's guts.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean they were
still is like a lot of people going back. I don't need this smartphone bullshit.
Yeah,
just give me an old Motorola flip.
We've now entered the crotchety old Dave part of the episode. We've already gone through the book episode with Chris.
Yep.
Now we're into Dave talking about the good old days. Oh man.
Well, they were good.
Oh hey, the
battery life was so great.
I mean, like I told you about that phone I had in Germany, right? Did I tell you about that?
No.
Oh man,
tell us about your German phone.
I had a dual SIM. Like feature, what are they called? Feature phones? No, I forget.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? So a dual SIM feature phone
like
with
was a name.
with an FM receiver and texting and games and all the other stuff, whatever.
You were texting and snaking like a boss.
That's right. That didn't have Snake actually.
Yep. It didn't have Snake. Okay.
But the dual SIM thing was crazy to me, and it was, of course, 11 euros at the store.
11 euros.
It's like insane, like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. It's a great little phone, and it's harder to find those things, I think. The little feature phones. And let me tell you, going back to T9 typing, not
post office.
easy.
You get them. You see them at the post office. When I'm at the checkout of the post office, under the little counter there, here's your phone for $20.
Oh, like a burner phone.
Checkout. Yeah, burner phone.
Yeah, we don't have. Our post office is a little different, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
You're not really allowed to have, because I'm pretty sure. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not allowed to buy a phone in this country unless you provide ID. Sorry, you're not allowed to buy a SIM card.
Oh, SIM card. That's
not allowed to buy a SIM card. You can't buy a SIM card without the bastards wanting to track you.
That's pretty common, actually.
Right. Is it? Okay.
I mean, at least maybe not common, but at least when I go overseas, I always have to give a passport to buy a SIM card. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So.
All right. So it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. Tracking. Blah blah blah.
Speaking of cheapest chips,
yeah.
I won't mention what it is because I haven't released the video yet, and I've teased people on the forum.
Okay.
Anyway, there's this segue to ridiculously cheap. I was, surfing AliExpress, as you do.
As you
right?
do.
You know how it pops up with the recommended things?
Mm-hmm,
Here's the recommended things. And it popped up with this recommended, let's just say it's a test instrument.
Sure, okay.
And it's a bit of test gear. And I went, oh, okay, it's one of those, known, cheap-ass Asian brand versions of this product, right? But the price caught me. It was $8.95. And it's
Is that Australian?
No. That was US, Yankee bucks, including free delivery. That's delivered, right?
Wow.
That is, I'll tell you what it is after the show. Actually, I'll send you can I send you a link now? I'll send you a link now.
I mean, this is just mean for the audience, Dave. Come on. But yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So what's the point about, you're getting to the point about the cheapness, though, you're saying?
I'm getting to the point of the cheapness of it. And anyway, so I was like, it was $8.70 US, right? Free shipping. So I ordered one of these things, and I've got one in my hand now. It just turned up. And sure enough, it works. Uh-huh. It seems to meet its specs. The teardown inside looks okay. It is completely no name, right? And it looks like they've actually scrubbed off physically on the product. They've scrubbed off the name and the model number.
Right. Well, that actually happened when it fell off the truck. It just scraped on the ground.
Right. Oh, magically. Gosh darn it. Yeah. And but the name is on the box, so it comes with the box and all the original accessories and everything. And are you having a look at it now?
I am, yeah.
Right, so you know that these things are normally quite expensive because they're quite precision, right? These things are usually let's just say that they're quite precision things. And normally, and this exact model, if it's actually under the original brand and name, it normally goes for well over $200 on eBay, right? That's what, they sell these things, people buy them. Yeah. And I thought, it's $8.70. Like, what? Is this some sort of, like, this company's just got the price wrong? They've listed it wrong? So I quickly ordered one, and I finally got it. Then I realised, no, there's these other sellers who also sell the same thing, once again, with the brand removed, and they're all got different stock levels, so it looks like they've all got their own stock. So I'm unsure if this is like a one-off
does it work?
Thing where... Oh, yeah, sorry, does it work?
Yeah, does it work to all the specs?
Yeah, it works, and it seems to meet its specs. It seems to be bang on, actually. And like, I haven't done a full review. That's what I'm doing after this show. But it's $8.70 for this precision. Like normally you'd pay that for a cheap ass.
When's this video going out, Dave? When's this video going on?
Right. Oh, I don't know. It'll at least be a couple of days. If it is,
I was gonna say, all right.
Anyway, I'll link in the video if it's already out by the time we.
I just meant we could say what it was otherwise, but yeah.
So I originally thought, I've discovered this company that's got the price wrong. So what I'll do is I'll buy them all up at $8.70
sell them at $9.
Just flip them on eBay for like, $100 or something, which is half the current price, less than half the current price, right? And I'll just sell them and make some quick cash.
Yeah.
And but then I realized, no, you can buy more than two, but if you buy more than two, it's not free shipping, and the shipping costs triple the price of the product.
Right.
So it's like it couldn't be bothered. Yeah. And it's this cheap no name thing, and
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
I mean, this is just the
what? Did it fall off the back of the truck?
No, this is just the markets. This is basically the local pricing of what you go to China, you get stuff like this cost. I think that's
with the brand deliberately rubbed off.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like it literally has no name and no model number.
Are you saying that
it.
It's close enough to another brand that it is the same manufacturing?
It is the same manufacturer. I've opened it up, and on the silk screen is the correct model number and everything else. And it looks like I obviously don't have the legit, in quote marks, from the company to actually compare it to, but it looks legitimate. So I'm wondering, are they factory seconds? Are they, did they fall off did somebody steal them and they fell off the back of the truck and they rubbed all the names and numbers off them and they're repackaging them? What, is, or is this, as you said, is this just I've discovered the local pricing for this product?
Yeah, I think that's, That's my vote.
I'm about to go through the teardown, go through every chip on the board and add up the cost, right? Because this is a precision instrument, right? It needs precision parts to meet these specifications.
I think you need an X-ray machine, though, too, because you might be surprised.
Right, you think, that's not a genuine TI voltage reference, 0.01% voltage reference. Yeah. No, it's no. But, on the surface, it looks legit. And holy shit, it's $8.70. I just can't believe it. It must have all these precision parts in it.
Yeah, I think more of a philosophical question about all this stuff is like, okay, so now everything is this cheap. Now what? And it's like, I think,
right.
I think, it's like it talks about the cost of value, brand and repairability and everything. Not repairability, but like service and all these other things. Like, honestly, that's what we're paying for is sometimes, and thinking about the software world too, and like open source, like, when you're paying for software these days, oftentimes there's, obviously I'm a big fan of open source, but like when you want to, you're paying for someone to yell at, and I guarantee if you're yelling at someone about an $8.70 thing, I was going to say what it was there for a second, then you're going to yell into the void, I think, it's just a throwaway thing. So,
but I understand that China's cheap and internal China is even cheaper, right? That it appears to us, but this is too cheap. There's got to be something going on here.
I don't think so, man.
My spidey sense tells me that no way. No
I
way.
think. Well, I think it might. Like the fact that it has the other silk screen on it doesn't mean that it's actually the same thing, but it could be just replicated. I mean, like it's.
It could be replicated.
You could have found the low end benchmark as well. I mean, like that's what I think about is like, okay, it could be a lot cheaper. How cheap? And it's like, yeah, you might have found the cheapest thing, or to get any cheaper than that, then it's like, okay, now we're gonna rip stuff off the board. That's not.
Right, we got to do some months in. Yeah, we got to be
right, exactly, and
yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I think any system, gets commoditized like that eventually, and it just. I don't have a value judgment on this. Honestly, I don't. Like, I don't.
But you're looking at what the product is. You're looking at what the specs are.
I don't have as good of
scroll down.
Sure, I don't have as good of a feel for that as you do.
Yeah, but you come from Keithley. You come from the precision measurement field, right? Mm-hmm. What does it cost to get 0.02%?
It's a bit, yeah.
Right? Yeah, it costs a bit, right? This is precision stuff. Yet it's in the price of one of these $2, cheapy multimeter things. It's down in the same price category.
I don't know.
It's like, wow,
I don't know
man.
what to tell you, Dave. Sorry, man. This is just the world we live in now.
Is there a magic supply of these, 0.02%, 0.01% voltage references from some one hung low?
And you're saying you tested that piece already, or no?
Yeah, I've tested that piece, and it's bang on. It's well within spec. Well within spec.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no idea. I think the only thing I have to say now is I guess I'll buy one.
I guess you'll buy one, but do it before the video comes out.
Exactly.
I swear thousands of people will instantly just buy 2 of these.
Yep.
Because you wouldn't just buy one; you'd buy 2 so that you can compare them with each other.
Oh, I'd just buy one in case I blow one up.
Right. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I've hit the jackpot. So anyway, I will not be reselling this. I'll do a video, and my Patreon supporters and forum supporters will hear about it first, so that they can get first dibs on this remarkable thing that I found. I was just stunned.
Yeah, well, maybe this just kind of points towards software is a differentiator in the first place these days. Hardware is so commoditized. It's just further down that track, it's now hitting the test market. I think it's dubious just because I know that good, like you, I know good components cost a lot of money, but maybe they found some other source, and maybe that's maybe the best thing about it is someone's figured out how to make precision resistors precision voltage sources in China for much less. Maybe that's different, it could be maybe artificially priced stuff around here. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, a very quick glance, it used a PIC processor in it. It used another, it looked like it used, legit stuff. So I'll see you after the microscope teardown.
Okay.
You've got to zoom in on each and every part. And, Yep.
Yeah.
But wow.
What will not be cheap is the Boston Dynamics Spot dog. Did you see that?
They're selling it.
They're selling it, yeah. And they don't give a price. They just have contact sales.
Right.
But they said, I think, about the price of a car. And I was like, is that like a Civic or like a Tesla?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a friend who works there. He wouldn't answer me. So,
right. So we're talking. What is the cheapest car in the US? Here, the cheapest car is about 13,000 Australian dollars. So let's say 9,000 US.
I think that's about the same.
It's like a little. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. It's like a little manual. Box.
Oh, it's not manual. It's not manual here, but it's cheap, really? And it's very unsafe.
Right. Oh no, ours are actually manuals. Ours are,
Yeah, I know. A lot of countries outside the U.S. The U.S. very rarely has manual transmission. Usually, it's a special order.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes, says the guy who got in trouble when he went to a foreign country and rented a car and realized, oh no, they didn't have any automatics for me. This is all of the Europeans right now are going, yeah.
Oh yeah, European manuals. Yeah. Pussy.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. They're like, why didn't you just learn it? It's like I just never did. So.
Yeah. Same here. I've never driven a manual car. Yeah. We've just never had one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go.
Guess when the zombie apocalypse happens, Dave, we're
screwed.
We're screwed.
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna grind through first gear when that happens.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure we can grind through it. Yeah, no problem. We're engineers. We can figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah. My dad still gives me grief about it. I tried learning. My sister had one for like when I was in high school, and I was like, Dad, I'm gonna be good at this. I play the drums, so I have to be able to use both my feet independently.
Right, yeah.
It was not a good experience, so I'd never learned.
Okay, right.
But so the spot thing's pretty cool. I mean, like, and it's interesting because it's like, it seems like it's commercially available, right? A lot of these things seem like they're not, you can't just go buy, and I guess you could, but like, you think about like industrial ABB type arms and similar like KUKA robots and stuff like that. They're so expensive and they're so big and like you wouldn't do it. But now this is like actually a robot that's a little creepy. Yeah, it's still a little creepy. But it is accessible to companies and individuals who have way too much money, more money than sense,
Right.
So, and it's fun to watch the robots. So that's the opposite of $8. And now when we see one of these on AliExpress, I'll be impressed.
Right. Well,
I think we got a while on that one.
Are there robots on AliExpress? Can you shop for?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Robot? Like, is there like some one low
I'm sure it's going to be
brand?
toys and stuff like that.
No, yeah, there's toys. No,
robot vacuum cleaners and
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Boring.
Yeah.
Boring.
I guess you can't get everything from China.
No.
No. Type in industrial robots. You can totally. Oh man, that's pretty cheap actually. $209 for a 3 to 4 axis robot. Okay. Interesting. I might be buying a robot later. We'll see.
Up to $9,700. The second hit is $9,700 for a 4 axis.
Right. Well. Yeah.
Wow. All the way from 1999 for a robotic.
Yeah.
For a little plastic robotic arm.
Yeah, that's the me arm.
There's an ABB industrial robot model for $115. Yeah, wow.
I doubt that's actually an ABB thing.
Yeah, no, it's not. You
can't even get on a phone call with ABB for $115.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's some serious kits on there for.
It's fun to watch it. So the robot stuff too. So I don't know if you've been watching former guest James Bruton. He's been doing lots of. He's doing like a more from scratch kind of robot thing. It's like a robot body almost. So it's less legs, and he's been doing some great stuff for like puppetry lately. Recommend people check that out. We'll link in the show when he was on. I keep thinking about him actually. And I was thinking about him for the micro stuff that I'm doing because it's like when you look at how James works. He's doing like interesting like end use things, but he builds a skill or like a feature that he like uses over and over again. So it was like a big deal when he switched from like an Arduino Mega to like a Teensy, but he just keeps using it. He just has this toolbox of things that he keeps using over and over again. And I really like. Well, I don't know. Like I think about like. Yes, I mean we talk about that here, but like
that's how these super productive people do it.
Right.
They just keep reusing stuff they know, even though it's not the best choice, it's not the cheapest choice, it's not the insert thing here. They don't care. Right. They just want to get something done.
Right. I think it's. And then if you need something super custom at that point, then you go and do the other stuff. I don't know. Like
of course.
So like, I think about like my past design history and stuff like that. Like I've usually had the opportunity to go and design a new thing, but that's not always the right choice. Like sometimes it's just. Especially if you're going fast, and that's kind of the thing that I've been running into more is just needing to go fast, is like you just got to grab what's nearby and just get something working, So it's a re-education on my part, Dave. Yeah.
Speaking of former guests, Jerry Ellsworth has just released her new Kickstarter. The Tilt 5 is her new company because she's having a second suck of the sav after, third suck of the sav because she used to work at Valve doing augmented reality, AR, at Valve. And then, of course, they famously booted her out and they gave her all the patents. They switched to VR, right? That's the... they switched to VR, so they gave her all her augmented reality patterns. She just went in there and cried, and they gave it to her.
So, she didn't cry.
Fantastic. No, you know what I mean. I worked hard on this, and they gave it to her. So they just
I think it was more of a negotiating thing, but okay.
Give it to her. Anyway, no. The story has it is that she just went in there and talked to Gabe, I think it is.
There's no crying.
And she just went, no, but she...
I think that's a mischaracterization to say.
Speaking.
Yeah, I think that's a mischaracterization.
Metaphorically, she went like, I worked hard on, and they just, he just went, okay, give it to her. And then the lawyers went, are you sure?
Right.
And he went, yeah, just give her the patents,
Right.
And which was a very unusual move for the company at the time.
Yeah.
But it turns out that, sorry, what's the name of the company? She's Technical Illusion she started.
Right, and then that became
as
the
a
maker of
from that.
Cast AR, which then just ended up switching the name to Cast AR, much like
Motorola.
They
changed the name, so they changed the name to the name of the product,
right.
which was Cast AR, and then there were negotiations with everyone, including Disney, and I don't know, everyone wanted to buy them, but they all fell through, and
that's the great stuff. That's the great episode we did with Jerry, where she was talking about the last. The Silicon Valley BS.
Right, yes.
It was great.
And and she went, oh, well, bugger that. I'll just start another augmented reality
She had to buy it.
company.
She had to buy the assets then from out of
did she?
bankruptcy.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Which is, hell yeah. Like, talk about believing in your work. I mean, like, that's killer.
Yeah.
And, and this stuff looks like, so if you watch, I don't know, did you watch the video and everything?
I've seen the video. I was kind of disappointed in the Kickstarter video. It was so fluffy.
Oh, it was a little bit more fluffy. Yeah, it was less technical. It was more like a marketing kind of, but that's the market that you're going for, right? She's trying to get people that are game developers and people that are game players and people that are new to the industry, right? She's not trying to get you.
No, that's right. Although I did back it. So I'm getting the basic kit.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah. And I think that
even though I hate 3D, I hate augmented.
Yeah, so I've tried this out. I mean, I think I've tried out one of the prototype ones, and I like it. I think it's a little bit more immersive. Not immersive. It's less immersive rather. But I like that it's not. I feel like I could just take it off and set it down and kind of come back to it. So I've said at the beginning. I think I said when Jerry was on the show one of the times. I've always been excited about and because it's a generic thing built on Unity, that it could be tied into educational applications and visualization stuff.
Sorry, Unity.
Unity is the game engine that.
Oh, okay.
So
I have no idea.
She just posted a video today too, showing how all that stuff.
Behind the scenes or something. She said how the development kit works.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. The SDK. Yeah. So basically, it's she was just showing how to import the. It's basically having a bunch of scripts that kind of tell you what the hardware is available, what views are available, and then a lot of the Unity thing is it's kind of this standardized interface, and that's how a lot of game developers work. And then you basically you could use that as the development around stuff. I mean, you look at something like that, and then you compare it to something like how I guess I'll use embedded tools because I've been using that all episode. How just everything is kind of just works together. It's just the difference is so stark. It's amazing.
Right.
It's like a standardized interface. It's what's that? I don't get how that works. We need to talk to registers. So
yeah, right.
But yeah, I think it's great. And the thing in the video that I was going to call out is just the weight that they talk about it. So it's there was a review that Norm did from Tested too. It was 90 grams or something like that. So thinking about how light that is on your face, that's pretty cool.
Yep, that's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
So
it's still a bit bulky. It's still but it's light. Light is better than bulky.
You're saying like volume bulky, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't look as polished. I don't think it looks as polished as the Cast AR one. Don't quote me on that, but anyway.
I don't really know. Yeah.
It's anyway. Still, she smashed her target in the first hour or something.
Yeah.
So it's going absolute gangbusters. Yep. And I think she didn't make the mistake of taking outside investment this time.
I don't know.
Do you know about that, if that's correct? I could be wrong about that, but I think it's all hers this time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming so. I stand to be corrected.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, as Jerry talked about in that episode she did last time, it was... it sounds a lot different.
Pros and cons of taking other people's money.
Right.
Yep. Yes, I'm sure she wouldn't get bit twice.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's well, go Jerry. You can do it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anyway, so yeah, I'll be following that because I'll be getting one.
Yeah.
So, yep.
That's great, man. We only got like a couple minutes left. We blasted right through things. Let's see. We got stuff from a couple weeks ago, even. Let's see. That's from 3 weeks ago. It's been.
What's the scientific method of troubleshooting? What's that?
Oh, this is when I was reading The Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I was thinking about that stuff too.
Right.
And so it was like,
define the problem. Do your research. Well, no, come on.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, I think I was just searching around. Maybe it was the video. I don't remember. But I was thinking about like the scientific method with regard to troubleshooting, like because like when, so like I said, like I mentioned earlier, like thrashing, right? If you don't like have like a hypothesis and you don't, if you don't write it down, obviously it's not science, right? That's a common thing.
right. That's the difference between science and bumming around is writing it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes like I'll be on the bench and I'll be like, oh, it's probably this thing, and I'll you move a resistor or whatever has to happen, and then I'll try it and it doesn't work, and I'll be like, oh, maybe it's this resistor, try that. And if you're not like tracking your changes, you can get into a spot where it's like you're kind of like backed into a corner. You have to like either reset all the way to the beginning, or you burn up a board, or whatever happens. And I feel like the best troubleshooters out there are more scientific about it. They're like, okay, I'm going to, maybe they're not formally saying it or formally writing it down as an experiment, but it's basically running a bunch of small experiments. And I always refer back to Ben Krasnow talking about that. One of the codings he was doing is like, now I'm on experiment number 88 or something like that, and it's like
right, yeah,
but it is like that formalized method of like having and like being able to then point back to it and say, hey, look, on 33 I tried this, and this weird effect happened. This weird effect happened, and maybe that gets triggered later. And if you're not tracking it, you're now on try 60, you're not necessarily going to remember. It's like, oh, I remember something happened on 33, but I didn't write it down. Like that's kind of like the rigor is very tedious, but it's also can be very important, kind of tied back to the engineering notebook thing too. So I don't know. I've just been thinking about that with troubleshooting. I don't know how you normally troubleshoot, but I'm more of a thrasher, and I wish I would be. I'm trying to work towards being more of a scientist.
Yeah, I know. I just know I'm not disciplined enough because because you've got to go in with the mindset from the get-go that you need to document it, regardless of how simple you think it is. Like, because I always think, oh, look, I'll just solve it in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Why would I even start documenting this? And 3 days later, I'm still working on it. I'll fix it in another 5 minutes. So I don't need to document it.
Yep.
And
I think that's the time. At some point, usually, I then go and write stuff down. And then it's kind of like either mental rubber ducking, or like I actually go talk to someone about it. And like,
or you don't have a formal process, so it's on a couple of post-it notes on your bench, which then get lost. And
But when I do switch around, and I have notes where I started writing down what the different things were. I can go back and look at my notes now, and at that point, like usually that's when I start to figure things out. It's just like it's at the beginning. When it's always at the beginning, when it's just like you said, the 5 minute. Oh, just 5 minutes. It'll just be 5 minutes. It's never 5 minutes.
It's no.
So.
Well, no. Sometimes it is, and you just don't think about it, and it's like, and then you get into the habit of fixing things quickly like that. But when one difficult problem comes up and bites your ass, you go, oh, geez, I wish I'd documented all those resistor changes I made to test this. Yeah. Right.
And thinking through okay, well, the hypothesis was if I change this resistor from, 47 kilo ohms to, 22 kilo ohms, it's going to do this. And then it's like failure. But instead I just get a pile of formally soldered resistors around the board. So I need to get better about that. I think we could all do a little better with that.
Have you ever had to go through
use a DMM
solder tray, the solder tray in your thing where you've deposited all those resistors you pulled off the board and actually measure? Oh, which is that capacitor? What value was that? So you go and find it and measure it.
Oh, totally. Right, because like you're doing it so much, and then you pull back the tape and you realize that it's the last pocket and there's no part in there anymore. Or it was the last part, and you're like, and then you fling it across the room with the tweezers,
Yep.
Good times, not really. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I should get back into that. I should get into the notebook per project because I always had a notebook per project. So I used to keep them in sleeve, like a manila envelope thing,
okay.
so like an envelope. So I'd have like the notebook inside, and I still got some here.
Okay.
I think I can see a couple from here, and so that would not only contain my spiral bound notebooky thing that I was using at the time to do all the notes, but it contained printouts of schematics and marked up schematics and other stuff and things like that. So it'd all be in like a pouch. Yep. So at any time, in theory, I could just pull out. This is how disciplined I used to be. I could pull out that package and it's all in that folder.
See, Dave, what my experience is, you just need to have 5 concurrent projects going, and then you basically don't have a choice. You're either going to go nuts or you're gonna get more organized. So that's kind of what I'm got going.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that idea. I just the paper thing. I can't. I don't know.
No, you can't get over the paper.
Yeah.
Oh no, I love a good notebook.
I mean, it's nice, but I'm really spotty with it. For some reason I keep coming back to the digital thing, probably just because I'm always on the computer anyways. And yeah, but some people like having it right in front of you really can help,
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we got for this week.
Yeah, there's more links over on the subreddit. People can always go check those out. So otherwise, catch us on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm going to go work on my $8.70 precision instrument.
Yeah, I'm going to go buy one.
Yeah, better go buy one before they all sell out. It's the Dave effect.
Oh, yeah, right.
yeah. Anyway.
All right, man.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Catch you next time.